It's Leah here to tell you about Dr. Anthony Pannozzo. He's a pain specialist located in southern Palm Beach County. So if you are somebody that you know is suffering in pain, Dr. Pannozzo is the one you guys need to call. And make that call today because living in pain is no way to go through life. Dr. Pannozzo has been in practice now for more than 49 years. He's treated more than 73,000 patients for pain. He's an expert when it comes to diagnosing the pain, and he has had huge turnarounds. In fact, people with scoliosis, he has had nearly a 100% turnaround. Lumbar pain as well. If you've got lower back pain, if you're suffering with migraines or flat feet pain, maybe pain in your elbows, your neck, your shoulders, Dr. Pannozzo can help you. And the greatest thing is he can help you without drugs, without surgery, and without having to go through weeks and months of rehabilitation. Give him a call today, set up an appointment. It's 561-381-5800. Tune into his show Sundays, 11 to noon. And now, here's this week's edition of the Dr. Pannozzo Sports and Medicine Hour.
She didn't do the show number.
You're on. Hey, everybody. It's Sunday. Happy Memorial Day. If you people are out there and you're making your hot dogs, getting ready for the party, tune into the radio and call us up and give us your opinions. 800-889-0267. 800-889-0267. We are joined today with a special guest. We have Gio, who probably keeps this whole company going. We got Freddy from Amp2.tv.
Good morning.
Good morning, Freddy. We got Carol, who's we call Connecticut on the other show, but this is a more reserved show. And we've got the world famous Dr. Anthony Pannozzo. Doc, how you doing? I almost swallowed my tongue. I had a little attack of epilepsy there for a second.
World famous? Oh,
yeah, you are world famous.
Well, 2 million listeners, so it can't be too bad.
2 million impressions of people that listen to you.
Too many hits.
Yeah, I
2
mean,
million hits.
hey, we hit the mark. New York, we want to thank you so much for tuning in and listening to our show. Thank you, and the people in Atlanta. We're trying to get as many new tapes as we can up there, so thank you again for taking such great response with Doc. What do you want to talk about today, buddy?
I don't know. I don't have anything to say.
Well, I'm glad to. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We will now have dead air for 49 minutes. Okay. There's a person that you want to read your article?
Here's one article I just
go ahead.
picked up. It says, zero pain is not the goal. Now, that is terrible to talk to a patient like that.
Why? And that's from JAMA.
This is an MD wrote this, and I'm saying he's wrong.
Of course he's wrong.
Zero pain is what you want. Range of motion without pain is the goal.
Right.
And that's what we achieve. If I gave up and said zero pain is not the goal, nobody would get better. I mean, that stops your research, that stops the hunger in you to get it right.
But that sounds stupid, though.
That's really wrong.
Yeah, I mean, isn't the goal if you have pain?
They're pushing narcotics,
Yes.
Just prescribe narcotics, and which is not the answer at all. In fact, the FDA, I think, I would tell you about this on the way over here, that the FDA says you don't need narcotics for musculoskeletal pain, and they are absolutely right. You don't need it. You need aspirin.
Well,
aspirin and steroids you need.
Well, one of the things that if you read a Tylenol label, you read an Advil label, you can find out that one of the products in there is aspirin. Did you know that, Freddie?
I didn't know that.
No, I didn't. But if you actually sit there and read it, it tells you that, which is really amazing. That they're putting aspirin in Tylenol.
Tylenol for a headache or migraine has aspirin in it.
Yeah.
Aspirin is your key drug, so throw everything else out.
So what do they? I don't even know. What do they put in Tylenol and Advil and all those?
Well,
a set of methamphetamine or something? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's another chemical, and it's not as good, and it affects your kidneys and liver and everything else. So I wouldn't do any of that. Aspirin is God's gift to mankind, and I really mean it. It does so much good.
Yeah. I think I met a girl that was man's gift to mankind a couple of days ago.
What was her name? Aspirin?
Aspirin. I took her twice, Doc, and I felt better in no time.
That's what it is.
I got a story to tell everybody, and I know it's true because we know the person that had it. We frequent Poppies, which we always do every Sunday and sometimes on Tuesdays. And there was a lady there that would serve us all the time. I have to build up the story. And one of the things she was complaining about is pain. She was in a car accident. So he said, why don't you come see Dr. Well, I can't. I said, why? Well, the insurance company and my, quote, chiropractor says I can't. So now she is not working anymore because of a prescription drug overdose. Now, you have been talking about this with the insurance company and taking narcotics and going to physical therapy and doing all this and chiropractic. Again, have nothing against any of these people. But my God, if what you're doing isn't working, why subject a person with severe pain to not only lose a job, but to not feel better?
This is exactly what happened to her. She lost her job.
Yeah.
And we tried to get her away from the establishment, the lawyer, the chiropractor.
And you even offered to come for free.
Yeah. And, but she, I don't know, if somebody promises you $150,000 on settlement of your claim, what are you going to do?
You're gonna take the money and run.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
you can't take the money and run. You have to be really ill at the time of settlement. In other words, they're buying you off. So that means you have to have problems. So when you come to my office, you don't get problems. We fix them.
Well,
and so then you can go about your life. But when you go through the other system, and this is true, folks. I'm not making this up.
no, I mean, this is someone that told me the whole story.
And and I've been talking about this
Yes.
for a while.
We know what you do. We call it a Pannozzoism. Now you say that 3 words fast, Freddy, and I'll buy you
I
lunch.
can't even think of 3 words.
Yeah, Pannozzoism. I mean, whatever you've said over the years has worked.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, I've been in this business for a long time. 70-some thousand people we've seen, and so we kind of learn a little bit.
And the one thing, we have so many different people that coming and listening to your show in New York and here and everywhere else, that you are a graduate of Ohio State University, a medical doctor. You interned just like all other doctors. It wasn't as we call, what we call that, a degree from a technical school. Okay? And the one
It's called allopathic. Allopathic is what it's called. That's the medical degree schools. Allopathic.
Oh, wow.
And then, every once in a while I give it to you there.
Doc! You get a bell for that one. Freddie, hear that? Allopathic and Pannozzoism.
Allopathic.
We're going to get to you later about sports because we're doing this first.
Then we had this residency that I attended, which was mainly musculoskeletal, which is pain problems.
Right.
So that's how we got here. Plus, we did a lot of research on various things. For instance, scoliosis, migraine, feet pain. Scoliosis is a big one.
Yes.
Migraine's a big one. Vertigo, ringing in the ears. You got to try this.
It's amazing.
I mean,
amazing.
We're still working on the ringing, but the other two, the migraine and the vertigo, those are curable one day. And somebody's going to say, well, that's not possible. It is possible. I'm not. What do you think I'm doing here? I mean,
It's guaranteed. I mean, the one thing I've learned, I watch a lot of TV, and it's very funny, Doc. A lot of the TV I watch is just to see the commercials. I never put that, because I want to see them. And every commercial now that's pitching Botox, now they've got a list of warnings, which they never had before, of what it could do, which they've never had before. I guess the FDA decided that you got to list all these warnings, because a lot of people complain, and it's more or less of a placebo, because it doesn't actually it gets rid of the pain in some people at that time.
well, who's doing Botox for headache? It's ridiculous. That's not.
A lot of people do Botox, right?
It's not even true.
Well, we know 2 people that did it, and
See,
now that's back to
the
you.
neurologists always talk about muscle headache, and that's what they're treating with Botox. But muscle headaches do not exist. If you really treat this stuff, it does not exist. Ligament is the thing.
Well,
Yep.
how did you discover? I mean, I know how, because we've talked about. How did you discover that headaches came from the ligaments in the neck, as opposed to everyone trying to treat the head?
Well, it's pain patterns.
Okay.
Well, you have to know how to examine a neck. For instance, if you know how to examine a neck, you're going to find out that autism doesn't happen.
Really?
That's headache for children. Migraine doesn't happen. It's a ligament. Vertigo doesn't happen. It's a ligament. So if you know how to examine,
Right.
then these things that I'm talking about are very plain to you. I mean, it's rather clear.
Well, what I've noticed over the years working with you, which is really phenomenal, is watching people come in with shoulder pain, and the one I loved was bone on bone. And I think what happens is doctors, again, no, we have nothing against anybody because what you do. Why the heck is it such a term? They use the term ACL, bone on bone. I got to remove the knees, but they don't understand what you do.
None of those happen because the pain of the knee is on the outside, between the bones. Mm-hmm. It's not on the inside where the ACL is. You have to go through the whole front to get to the ACL, and that never happens. So that whole thing should not even be done. I don't think there's any scientific evidence of it.
Well,
it's patellar. Patellar protects the knee in the front. That's where the problem is.
Well, what's very funny is every year when they do the surveys, I don't know who does the surveys. There's almost 200,000 knee replacements that should not have been done, and that's according to WebMD and a lot of other places.
Yeah, we have a big knee practice, and most of the time knees are normal.
See, I think what people should do with you, if someone is, I don't want to use the word foolish, is desperate enough to listen to who is the biggest doctor, and they take the knees out, okay, they should suggest you come in, because when they do that, there's scar tissue. You're dealing with someone right now.
That's exactly right. And what I was going to talk about is that when you have a knee replacement, you're going to have a lot of scar tissue under the patella, the kneecap. That's where all the pain is, because there is no knee inside.
Right.
It's a piece of metal, which is not painful. So you have scar tissue. The main one, like the fellow we're talking about that you know from the gym, had all that pain from underneath the patella. And it's so easy to diagnose. I mean, if you know your stuff, I mean, you know how the knee is made, you can examine it rather quickly.
The owner of the gym says to me, "You ought to bring him down here." I said, "I don't think he wants to come all the way to Fort Lauderdale, and do a class, and come in and talk about it." And Freddy would come in and shoot it, and they'd love that.
What, to go down to?
Yeah, I go down to 1440, the gym. It's a long trip, but worst case kind of scenario, I'll pick you up and we'll go down there together, and you'll pay for the gas for me to come back. But other than that,
no, I refuse to pay for the gas.
Could you buy me a bagel at least?
Yes.
Okay. Wouldn't that be a great thing?
It is, and I'm listening to what you guys are going back and forth talking about, and I think that the difference is that you want to rid pain, or you want to rid the cause of pain. I think there's a big difference.
Sure.
I take aspirin when I have a headache.
No, I do too.
If I have a migraine, people are going to buy migraine Excedrin or whatever the hell is out there. They have all sorts of gadgets. I just saw a new gadget that came out for different alleviation of pain.
The head massage thing, that sharper image you're showing, that massages your head to get rid of the headache.
Well, they have all sorts of stuff that you can use, but it's all meant to alleviate pain. It doesn't.
Well, the problem is you don't alleviate pain. You alleviate the sources of the pain.
I'd like
so
to
if
stop.
you don't know where the source is, you can't relieve the pain.
Exactly.
So it's just a moneymaker to sell things over the
That's
counter.
Right. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah, and it's
We
just
got somebody that's barbecuing now and wants to talk to you.
Okay.
Hey, Billy.
Hey, I called you guys a couple of weeks ago, and since then I had to go see Dr. Pannozzo again, and I want to thank him for I don't have any more pain in my neck that gives me headaches.
Wow.
Since I saw him, and I feel wonderful. And I also sent this lady to see him who thought she had hip problems, and Dr. Pannozzo said, "It's not your hips." And right away she got a little upset, thinking that he didn't know what he was saying until he took care of her. And now she swears by Dr. Pannozzo because she's always happy now. She has no more hip problems, and she's not in any pain. And I want to know, I have a question to ask Dr. Pannozzo.
Great.
Yes. Go ahead, Bill.
I did mention it to you once before, Doc. My feet, they're always on fire. They were burning, and you had told me to stretch my toes, and I did that for a while because you told me my toes are bent in, and they are, but it's still coming back, and I want to know, is there something that can be done for me for my feet that are always burning inside?
Yeah, well, you're not a diabetic anyway, so, and I just see this commercial on and on and on about, what are they selling?
Diabetic retinopathy. They're selling some
Which
kind
doesn't exist. It
Yeah.
doesn't happen. It can't happen. And those are local foot pains, and there's a lot of ligaments in the foot.
Yeah. Well,
And if you know how to examine for it, you can examine for it and treat it.
and you know how to do that.
And we know how to do that. So that's why I could tell you it's not diabetic neuropathy. There's no neuropathy. The first thing people tell me I have neuropathy, I say, are you a diabetic? No. Are you an alcoholic? No. Well,
Oh, that's the only
Those
way. Oh, that's right.
those are the two main causes of neuropathy.
Freddie, you okay with that?
Yeah, no,
Because you
I
have
agree.
I mean, you have diabetes. Does your feet ever burn you?
They used to.
Okay.
Yeah,
don't-
but
they
it
don't-
wasn't neuropathy.
But
So
it wasn't
anyway,
Well, that's what I was told, that I had neuropathy.
right.
Yeah, that's what they tell everybody.
Yeah.
It's a quick,
And
quick
also-
fix.
Great word, right?
Yeah.
I also want to ask you, Doc, I had my knees replaced long time ago, but now right under my patella, I get a sharp pain lately, and it's been about 14 years. And they're telling me, well, we'll just have to do it over again. And I said, no, you're not.
Stay away
No
from those
way.
people. Stay away from those guys.
Well, I didn't know about you 14 years ago, Doc. you
Right,
know?
right.
But can something be helped about this sharp pain
Oh.
under my patella?
Oh, sure. That's just scar tissue there.
You know he can help you, Billy. Come on.
Oh, we can. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
He's the
not-
greatest.
no
I love
problem.
you, Doc.
All right.
Well, everyone that sees him loves him.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Billy, thank you so much for calling. We always appreciate calls that have been cured.
Just one question. Can I come in for my hot seat, Doc?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All
Thanks,
right.
Billy.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
See, now this is a guy who finally is doing something about
Yeah.
the source of it.
Yeah.
You know,
He lives like 2 hours away.
2 hours. Wow.
And what you said was 100% right, the source, where the
I
pain is
mean-
coming
I mean,
from.
You either want to get rid of the pain altogether,
Mhm.
or you're going to take a pill to alleviate.
You know, when
it
you
for a
talk
couple
about
hours.
the source, you know how intricate thinking that is? You got to know a lot of stuff, Freddie.
Well, no, I understand that the
I mean,
highway
people throw-
has all sorts of roads to
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Also, twists and turns.
But if I can't get people to want to come in just to start the road,
But they think you're just throwing these terms around. You have to know the anatomy, how it's made. You have to know the physiology, how it's used. And then you have to understand the dynamics of weight bearing, because there's a whole difference there. And when we examine somebody, we put all that together for you. And then at the end, they'll show you your film and where the problem is and what's causing it. And a lot of times it's a secondary issue that you feel, not the primary. Meaning that the cause was primary that you don't feel. You feel it. You feel the secondary manifestation of it. But you learn all that, and then we propose the treatment, and then we do it. And then inside of 2 minutes, you get relief.
Well, the main thing is that people should be coming to you first, because there was a big article that, in fact, I was going to talk about this today, but now you got me right, about back surgery. They're saying the only time you should have back surgery is when everything fails. And this is done by WebMD. It was telling people that, there's certain things you shouldn't go into the hospital for. And they said the reason for that is surgery does not provide significant improvement. Now, that's the biggest part of this thing,
Why is that?
because what they're doing is, a lot of scar tissue is forming.
Well, it's scar tissue in the beginning.
Yeah, and there's more forming after they go for the surgery.
And so you get more scar tissue after the surgery. So Tiger Woods doing this right now.
But what I don't understand is people, why, Freddie, if someone told you, forget you know this guy, if someone told you needed surgery on your back, wouldn't you go right to the internet and find out other sources that you could go before you went in? You wouldn't just say, okay, I'm going to go in
yeah,
for
but
the surgery.
everybody's different. I had a friend of mine. She had to wait, I think, 8 months to get her hip replacement surgery scheduled, and she threw a party because they approved it. What kind of thinking is that?
That's what I'm trying. I mean, come on, this is your body.
Yeah.
I mean, she was happy she finally got the approval. It's like they make it sound like you have to be approved to come
Yeah.
and have surgery. So you got to wait 6 to 8 months. And then when you get the approval, you're jumping up and, oh, I'm going to be healed.
Well, what's that based on?
What the?
It's based on failure of treatment.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But if your treatment's no good, you're going to have a failure.
Well, they're very successful at failure of treatment.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Well, I mean, a lot of doctors who were involved in this article says, here's your risks when you're going for back surgery. Bleeding, medication,
Infection.
strokes, and sometimes a heart attack.
And rehabilitation, because once you're on your back, you got to get up.
Yeah, and these people don't realize. So we're hoping that people are starting to get a little smarter now and understanding that there is something that could be done.
Well, when we treat a back, we don't have rehabilitation.
Yeah.
We don't have physical therapy ad nauseum. We don't. We fix it the day you're in there. And if we didn't get it all, we'll get it the next day. And that's it. About 2 days is it. Unless you have something like a scoliosis, which is huge, and it takes a while to reverse all that bone structure, and we do. They straighten right out.
So now we have all these major, I'm glad you brought that up. You have all these major, multi-million-dollar hospitals that are putting cages into children.
Right. Ugh.
And according to you, and I know
sick.
that's not what's causing it, but again, why would these doctors not know that that scar tissue, that student, I mean, are they that?
It's the thinking. They're thinking if we nail that or screw it in, we prevent it from getting worse.
And that's not true.
And I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that can be reversed. If you know how to treat it, it does reverse, and the curvatures leave and don't come back.
And we have documented proof that works.
Oh, every day we do that, yeah.
Now, why do people say, oh, you know, she was born with scoliosis, blah, blah.
You are not born with scoliosis.
Okay. That's from a fall that the kid doesn't tell his mother.
It's always an injury, right?
Well, how many people that you work with as a coach ended up with scoliosis because they were hit or something hurt them?
I don't know how they ended up, but I can tell you that a lot of the kids that came in, they had the curvature. Yeah. And a lot of the parents would say, oh, this will straighten them up playing football. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird therapy.
Well,
okay.
Let's face it, you didn't know any better, and none of us knew any better. We thought scoliosis before we met you. We thought scoliosis you had to be operated on and put hooks and.
Well, the stuff you read or hear about is absolutely not true.
No,
you're not talking to the right people.
Well, we're finding that out because
I had a guy this Friday comes in from. He went to New York, went to 5 of the biggest hospitals over there, and they all told him the same thing. What?
You need operation.
You need a surgery.
We have to put...
So he said, Pannozzo says no, so he comes back down.
Are you serious? Oh,
yeah,
that's funny.
This is a true story.
Oh, I love this.
Who
that's Pannozzo, right?
Yeah, so I gave him a couple of shots, and that was the end of it. But you got to be careful what you're asking for. You don't go to 5 surgeons. Go to 2 surgeons and 3 people who don't do surgery, and then you get the proper answer.
But then you have a choice. Then you go to
why? Because the surgeons are trained to do what?
Surgery.
Surgery.
You know, part of the word surgeon is surgery.
Yeah. So, and I'm not trained as a surgeon.
He didn't know that, doctor.
I get lost in an operating room. The head nurse would scoot me out of there. Because I don't know anything about surgery. I know when not to get operated, though, and I could tell you that.
Well, you know, the surprising thing is that we're doing more and more medical shows all over the country.
Yeah.
And a lot of the doctors now are telling us that the inflammation subject matter, that the topic of inflammation now has come to the front.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, every illness from concussion to toothache has to do with inflammation in the body.
Well, toothache, that's inflammation.
Well, but it's funny because
bacteria.
a year ago, they weren't saying that.
Yeah,
you got to have surgery, you got to remove it, we got this, you got that, degenerate this, degenerate that. All of a sudden, they're talking inflammation.
But what you're saying now, could you imagine going to 5 well-known doctors in the New York area and they all agree it's surgery? So now what does that person do? Think about it.
Well, they're gonna spin it. It's like anything else. The reason you got the inflammation is because we got to remove the knee.
Right.
Let's get rid of your knee. That'll take away the inflammation, and we'll deal with the scar tissue.
You got inflammation of your head. Let's get rid of the head.
Hey, Les, I was shooting yesterday for 6 hours. We were shooting about guys talking about concussions and about how the pressure in the brain is what this whole deal's about. And I went up to the guy and says, you're looking in the wrong area. And Doc, he was saying that the pressure in the brain builds.
You raised it.
Right? The pressure in the brain. One guy agreed with me. He says, "Yeah, this thing with inflammation, that's really what it's all about." Yeah, chiropractor. But
Actually,
anyway, he says the brain swells and begins to go in the hole. Doc, I'm not making this up. In the hole with the neck.
What hole?
In your head, your neck hole. What do they call that?
Someone always said I had a hole in my head. Maybe
It has a name. With the brain and the spinal column.
Yeah, it's a neuroframe, and it's a hole there where the spinal cord
Comes in.
meets the brain right there.
Right. So he says that the inflammation of the brain forces the brain to go in that hole.
Where,
and then you're done.
What is this guy talking about?
I have no idea.
Was he a chiropractor?
I don't know what he was. But and then he said to me that the inflammation part with the neck is really, he says, it makes sense that concussions are here.
It's called Arnold-Chiari syndrome, and that doesn't happen.
Artichoke syndrome?
Or
What, the brain getting into the hole?
Arnold-Chiari, yes.
They were talking about the guy in Taken's wife that had the injury. She fell, went to the hospital. She was okay, went home and died. They found her dead the next morning with a hemorrhage in the brain that they didn't look for.
Well,
that.
that's possible, yeah.
Scary.
Especially when a side blow, because there's an artery right in there.
Well, this is the thing. This guy, and then after he told me the brain going through the hole.
Well, you're coming very educated, though.
But
That's why.
But all of a sudden, this is the guy that's agreeing with me. So I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
No, he's way off on that.
But he says that inflammation.
Do you have anything from the sports world?
Yeah, sports world.
Well,
yes.
yeah, my New York Mets have
Screwed up.
Mr. Duda. Well, yeah, it wasn't fair.
Dodgers
what
won.
you did yesterday. Yeah, it wasn't fair. If you look at the game, I didn't want to talk about that.
All right.
But Duda, the first baseman, has a stress fracture of his spine. So he's out 6 weeks.
Well, I heard about that, yeah.
There's
Doc.
no such thing. How in the hell did they get that?
They
Stress
didn't-
fracture
it
of
took
what?
It took him a year to find the stress fracture
A year?
Yeah.
Well, there's no fracture there after 6 weeks.
because he's been
So there's
hurting.
no such thing, right?
He's been hurting for 6 weeks, for almost a year, and they finally found a stress fracture. They put him on the disabled list, and they're scurrying now to find somebody to take his
Yeah.
place.
They have mismanaged that case, and so they're going to put a term on that means something to somebody. It means nothing to me. There is no stress fracture. What it is a ligament sprain, and they don't even know about it. That's why he's on the disabled list. We've been talking about this.
Well, that's number one. Yesterday, one of the Dodgers took a swing of a bat. He swung. He got a twinge in his lower right quadrant in his back.
Oh, right quadrant. Very good, Freddie.
Well, that's what Fox called it. And he's out of the game. Out of the game. And they don't know what it is.
It's a 4-5 annulus is what it is.
And he's out of the game. He's going to be out for 4 weeks.
You see, if he'd have come in my office, we'd have fixed that one day. He'd have been back on the field.
And what Dr. Pannozzo gives is not an enhancement steroid,
No.
everybody. It's FDA
I wish it
approved.
was. It is not.
Every doctor, has it, but the difference between you and all the other doctors that
Yeah.
have it is you know where to find the pain.
Right.
And that's the thing.
That's the source. You have to treat it at the source.
And then you have David Wright. Scully, he has the shrinking of the spine,
Yeah.
stenosis. So he could
Oh,
not.
is that what? I didn't know what that is. Is that what is shrinking
I'm
of the
laughing
spine?
at
is
that
what they
because
call-
it's
I
so
never knew that.
ridiculous. It's just not true.
Well,
you
this
don't
is
get
the
that.
Major League Baseball news, Doc, and he had migraine headaches yesterday. He couldn't play. Now, I mean, David, if you're listening, and I know you're probably not, you should give a phone call because what do you got to lose? If you can't play, and he can't play, you should see the way he's throwing the ball sidearm now, Doc. He's changed his whole game. They did to him what they did to Tiger Woods. They
Make him
changed
change the swing, make him change the swing.
The people who retired from the Dolphins that we treated in one day, they lost millions of dollars, both of those guys. One lost 11, the other lost 8.
Well, what did Cleveland Gary say to you?
He said,
Where were you last year?
one more year, and he had made another 12 or 15 million.
And he would have bought you a Ferrari or
They
a
brought me a
Lamborghini.
Ferrari, too.
I'm gonna tell you something. A player like Lawrence Taylor would have played another 3 to 4
That's
years.
my
if
new
he-
fee for them. It's a Ferrari.
Yeah.
How many of those can you get? How many of those can you use?
Well, if you get 3, Doc, you have one. Me and Freddie. Gee, you could use mine because your father won't let you use his. You need 2? Okay. So we're gonna, Doc. How about some questions from New York?
Okay.
Okay, try
I
to
don't
keep
have
up.
any.
Try to
Do you
keep
have
up. We got a half hour to go.
You got to have
Yeah,
okay.
I know today you were busy. Sally from New York City writes, I went to see my doctor and asked him if concussions originated from the brain being rattled and pressure building up and giving the concussion after effects. He explained how the brain gets inflamed, and that's why questions are asked of the patient. I tried to explain that perhaps these are effects come from the neck area, as you said in the past. Can you go over the two theories and answer this question on the air? I want to present it to my doctor when you do. Okay, good.
Why bother with that?
Why go back to the doctor?
I'm not educating his doctor. I don't even know who that is. If he's having a problem with migraine, just come and see me. We'll fix it.
So let me
We can't convince the family doctor
No.
about anything or what to do for it. These are techniques that they're not available. It's just
So let me just say one thing to you. I'm going to give you
there's
Dr.
no
Pannozzo's.
easy way out of this,
No.
which is what this guy wants. He wants the easy way out. Tell my doctor what to do. We can't do that.
Well, first of all, the doctor can't do what you do. He doesn't have that equipment to see where the pain comes from.
He does not,
And that's important.
And he should call me if he wants to know.
So-
Not this way.
Sally, give
The
your
doctor's
doctor.
not going to call you.
No.
Give the doctor. I'm going to give you this to give the doctor your doctor the number. He could talk to Dr. Pannozzo directly. It's 561-381-5800. 561-381-5800, and the Dr. Pannozzo will talk directly with the doctor, and then call you up and say, this doctor doesn't know what he's doing. What's the matter, doctor? You got to go somewhere?
Next question.
Okay.
You know, it's funny because it looks to me like people want to get the doctor's approval to
Yeah.
see Dr. Pannozzo.
Yeah, exactly, and they're not going to get that. Okay. Russell from New York City writes, vertigo, concussion, and migraines, do they come from the same place in the upper spine or neck? And why would this area be responsible for so many different illnesses that seem to be treated the same way, etc., dizziness and no balance and shakes? I never heard of that.
It's that's just the way it is. I can't tell you about who designed it or why it works that way, but it does work that way.
And it's always in that same area, huh?
It's always in the same area.
Is it the same for everybody?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
So one thing that
everybody
human
has-
beings share.
I have news for you. Everybody has the same body.
Well,
Men and women?
Yes, just about.
Well, that's different. That's news.
actually, take your shirt off. I'll tell you.
That's serious.
I don't think he means physically.
Oh, physically, I'm sorry. Sarah from New York writes, chiropractors seem to think they have a solution to concussions with techniques of correction by removing air. Wow.
Air.
Let me see. Let me get this one right. Chiropractors seem to think that they have the solution to concussions with techniques of correction by removing air between the neck and the spinal cord. I wanted to get your thoughts of this approach, and do you think any of this...
Stay away from that chiropractor. Whatever you do, he's going to hurt you.
And what does an adjustment mean when a chiropractor
It means
cracks you?
cracking your neck.
Yeah, but what is that?
Well, it's overstretch of ligament structure. That's what it is, and that's how you get hurt.
But Doc, when James Bond does the same thing, the guy dies.
Yeah, he breaks the neck.
Right?
No, he breaks the
Oh, he
neck.
breaks the neck.
Yeah,
No, but I don't understand how the adjustment fixes the pain.
it doesn't.
No.
But people will tell you, oh, I feel relief.
They do until the next day. You
Until the
see,
next day.
That's the principle. You have to understand how it's designed to work. The ligament structure. If you stretch a painful ligament, it will be relieved temporarily.
Of pain.
But overnight, it tightens down again and then bothers you again. It's painful to move. Remember, movement is painful. So that's how you have to approach that.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
what they're saying is true, but it's because of the nature of the ligament structure.
Amazing. It's amazing.
So they're stretching the ligament to take away the pain. That's pretty clever.
That's right, and then it tightens down overnight.
And then it must hurt twice as much the next day.
Next day.
We could become chiropractors. You and me will go for a 2-year course. We can make a fortune.
I mean, I had a lady who was in the office Friday. She went every day to the chiropractor last week. Every day.
If you can't get cured in at least 2 visits, this is not me quoting, this is WebMD, find another doctor.
Yes.
Well, Lou went to the chiropractor after you took care of him. He was fine the first day. He came back. He couldn't move.
Oh, look.
Crazy Lou.
He
Have you
couldn't.
met Lou?
If he wasn't so big, I'd smack him. You know.
He couldn't
I mean,
even
it's
try
just-
to you. He was in such pain. I said to him, well, "What are you doing?"
He was in the office, and I did my thing on his neck, and I gave him the golf club. He was swinging the golf club just great. He had an appointment with the chiropractor, and they manipulated his neck, and then oh, my neck's hurting me again.
He was crying.
Yeah, he was
when I went to
crying.
see him in the office.
You know, sooner or later they're going to trust my judgment and just do what I say and not, anything.
Now, he went back to see you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the chiropractor hurt his neck.
Yeah.
That's too much.
Okay.
Yeah, it's too much.
Sammy from New York City writes, I wanted to know if pressure on the brain is caused by inflammation once the brain has been injured. If this pressure is not removed and another injury is sustained, is it true? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. If this pressure is not removed and another injury is sustained, is the true amount that pressure will build and the brain will slowly begin to go down the neck column, which would result in death? Does your
Re-injury.
Re-injury.
Concussion, and then they didn't treat it, and then you get another concussion.
No, concussion's not what you think. It's a high neck injury.
They think it's in the brain.
Yeah, it's not in the brain.
Okay. Okay.
Can you imagine telling a doctor that concussions aren't in the brain?
Oh, well,
You know what it is? The doctor would probably.
the only thing I could come up with these things because I have credentials that tell me I can.
I know that, but I'm saying me and Les.
Most of these guys, they don't know how to treat a neck. They never examine a neck.
What people have to understand: a musculoskeletal specialist knows more about that than a chiropractor or orthopedic surgeon.
Yeah, we have techniques for just
There's
about
techniques for just what.
any pain there is, and no surgery is involved, including podiatry. That's a surgical specialty,
John from Atlanta writes, as an ex-hockey player, I have terrible pain in my wrist and forearms. I want to know if you can remove the pain in my arms, and can you explain to me where this pain comes from? Well,
Sure.
That was it?
Yes.
Okay. The answer to that question, Johnny from Atlanta, was yes. Okay. Danelle from Atlanta writes, I have been told I have sciatica in my legs that run all the way up to my legs and to my hips. The pain hurts so much I cannot bend over to tie my sneakers. My doctor gives me painkiller medicine and tells me to stretch every morning. To me, the pain seems to be getting worse. I feel that he really doesn't understand what's going on in my body. Duh. Can you explain what's wrong with me? Why at 45 years, sitting can be a painful problem? How do I get rid of this pain once and for all? 561-381-5800.
Yeah, but I feel bad for her.
So do I feel bad because she's not being treated
But
correctly.
not only that, but maybe she doesn't have a way of either getting down here, or she doesn't have a solution to her problem up there. So she's sort of reaching out and saying, is there a cure for her?
Yes, there is, but I can't do it over the phone.
I
She
guess
has to be examined first, Freddie. I mean, let's face it. There is a basic cost to medical care,
Yeah.
but don't spend it where you shouldn't be spending it, which is where her family doctor is giving her a problem.
If you're in that much pain, I will guarantee you the trip from Spirit Airlines down here, you'll be home the next day and you'll be pain free.
Yeah.
So it depends. Do you want to pay someone that's not curing you, or do you want to get cured? It was about an hour and 20 minutes to fly from here to Atlanta.
It's probably
her call.
It's probably okay. Let me explain how this works.
pretty cheap to fly down or drive down here. It can't
Well, if
be
you're in that much pain, you
gases.
fly down. It costs you $150 round trip, and I guarantee it's costing more than going to a doctor that's not curing you.
The worst part of driving down here is when you reach the Florida-Georgia border. It's forever after that.
I know, it seems like it takes forever.
Oh,
to
that
get to
trip!
the-
I do that trip.
It's a 2-hour trip, 3-hour trip.
From where?
From the border down to here, 2 hours.
Yeah, but it's
No,
hours.
it's a little more than 2 hours.
But
It's
it's,
3 hours.
it's worth the effort.
Of course, it's worth the effort. No, pain is tough, buddy. Larry from Atlanta writes, I am the producer of a new morning sports show here in Atlanta.
Oh, this is interesting.
Oh, we're currently going over how concussions have changed the game of football. My host of the show is an ex-Atlanta Falcon football player and has suffered concussions during the 13 years he played in the NFL. We wanted to get the ideas of how is the NFL treating concussions today and whether or not concussions have a lasting effect in the brain and creates other disturbances such as depression, irrational thinking. Most of that has been interviewed from the medical profession. Say yes. Brain injuries creating side effects leading up to self-destruction. What do you think about this? In other words, basically what the guy is saying, a lot of word out now is that people that have had concussions and weren't treated have a violent edge to them. In other words, a lot of they
Well,
fight, they
of
beat
course,
up their wives. Yeah,
if you have headache all the time, you're going to be irritable.
right.
That's completely understandable. But
Well, it's
it's
not
not
only-
from a concussion. It's from the neck.
But it's not only irritable; they're killing themselves. Junior Seau.
Joe Seau, yeah, killed himself.
Well, he had a tumor, though. I mean, that was a different thing.
I don't think he had.
Yeah, he did. And
I know he killed himself.
you can't throw all these people in one pot and say it doesn't happen that way.
Well, a lot of wrestlers killed themselves because of pain in
And
the
they
head.
and they say that you
Well,
can't.
maybe it's because psychologically they were mean people. That's
Before
why
they
they're
before they got the
wrestlers.
injury.
Well, sure, that's why they're wrestlers.
That's possible.
So yeah, you have to look at the whole deal. You can't look at just part of it like that.
But you got to look at all these kids that start out like in pee wee football, and then they go into high school football. Then they go into
Well,
they could have been injured and had problems in the neck before.
The parents should be well aware of what could happen to their child when they play sports. I was there for every time my son played, and I made sure he was okay. And when he wasn't, I fixed him.
Well, on TV now, a hospital is paying for this for this orthopedic surgeon that's saying, for now that the summertime is coming along, you got to make sure that your kids are ready for sports. And here's what I recommend: come down and see me so I can examine them and see if they're ready for sports.
Yeah, they don't examine them properly.
No.
I will tell you right now, they're not looking for the same thing.
No, exactly. Okay,
They're
let's
just
see.
making sure you can.
We
walk-
do a great job on that. I mean, I wish people would take advantage of it. I don't even have to charge them. I mean, we just do it if you can't afford it.
I mean, how many doctors did you see that have you seen, Freddy, in your years on this planet that not only say they guarantee it but would help parents? How many? Didn't you work with a child that had scoliosis? The parents couldn't afford it. And
Well, the problem is that they go to their family doctor who tells them one thing. Oh, that's baloney, and the orthopedic surgeon says, oh no, that's baloney. It is not. You don't need surgery to treat this, and the pediatrician should get wise up, learn something.
I mean, folks, if you have a child and they were diagnosed with scoliosis, you have two options. You can listen to all the doctors you want, but wouldn't it be smart to come just see this man, let him show you something? I mean, all you have to go to Pannozzo.tv, which is PANNOZZO.tv, where you can see scoliosis, right, Freddy? Scoliosis patients, you can see the before and after
all
X-rays
the videos. Yeah.
of how you've actually on the verge of curing people. I mean,
Well,
that's amazing.
you can actually see the changes right there.
That day.
That day.
Wow. God, they should bottle you because after you retire, take a bottle of Pannozzo. Okay, Laura from Boynton Beach. Gosh, Laura, you're right around the corner. My migraine headaches come with ringing in my ears.
Oh, great.
Maybe she didn't answer the phone. Okay. I want to know if this was something I was making up or is it natural. Please let me know if you can help. Well, I'm going to tell you this. 561-381-5800, and I guarantee you that he will get rid of your migraine. Now, the ringing in the ears, you're working on that now, so you haven't found how to cure that. I know you.
Yeah, we've haven't seen enough of that.
Right.
But the ones we did see have relief.
Yeah.
But no, she's not exaggerating anything. She's feeling exactly the proper thing, and that is treatable.
So, Doc, this is something I never asked you before, so maybe if someone gets a regular headache, when I get a regular headache, which I haven't had headaches in years, why do I get the pain first in my neck? I start getting, my neck starts bothering me.
Well, headaches are just a symptom.
Okay.
And they come from all the structures in the neck, so we can treat each and every one of them.
Because like you say, so I always, when I start getting pains in my neck,
Yeah.
a couple of minutes later, my God, they don't want to stop, Doc, huh? I get a headache, and I take 2 aspirin and, a couple of maybe
Yeah.
25.
It's a little inflammation of a ligament, and
Right.
that takes care of it.
Okay. Stephen from Boca writes, I was told by my doctor that my hips have degenerated to such a degree that now I need surgery. You fixed a friend of mine that canceled the surgery he was going to have and wanted to ask, what is that you do that would fix the hip from pain? I'm 69 years young and don't think I want to have surgery to improve my condition. Is it too late? Well, first of all, you should listen to your friend.
Make an appointment and we'll examine it for you and tell you where the pain's from.
Stephen, you're in Boca Raton. I'm going to give you the number. Please wait until the show is over. It's 561-381-5800. Your friend is right. You should listen.
Okay. Well, I think the age is the factor there, guys.
69 is young. I wish I was 69 again.
Not to have hip surgery. It takes longer to recoup at that age.
I know somebody that had his hip surgery at about 50-something years old. They got to go back again. And you know what the doctor told him? Let me give you somebody else who might be able to do it.
Really?
Yeah, true story.
So he changed the hip, and then now he's putting the problem somewhere
And
else?
I keep telling him, I don't want to use the word I used because we could be closed down. I said, how could you be that stupid? I will drive you up to see Dr. Pannozzo. Okay? He will tell you and fix you, and afterwards I'll buy you lunch. That's how much. He said, what, do you work for him? I said, no, I don't work for him. I just know what he did for me, what he did for all the people I've sent.
Right.
I mean, I'm not just talking because I have nothing else to do. I've been there. You've been there.
Yeah.
You come in limping.
I've been there.
Yeah, well, you better be there because they got some blonde guy giving shots to. I don't know what's going on here. He gave himself a shot. Okay. Troy from Miami writes, I went to see a stem cell professional. I got to underline stem cell professional for a bad knee. He let me know that healing process he wanted could only fix the situation, but it would take 5 to 6 weeks to improve the pain knee. I understand that you could get the knee feeling better quicker. Can you explain how, ready for this, Doc? Bone on bone can be cured so quickly. Bone on bone.
Bone on bone is a euphemism for knee pain.
Should I explain to people what euphemism means?
Euphemism?
Oh,
I don't know.
A euphemism is saying something nice about something not so nice.
I don't know what that means.
Okay.
Anyway,
Because Freddy was confused. He didn't know what euphemism is.
it's not a diagnosis.
No.
Euphemism is not a diagnosis.
No.
But anyway, where is the pain from? It's a ligament. And when you have bone on bone, nothing happened to the cartilage. It's still there.
Right.
Except on the technique of the filming of that, you see the angle and it shows a little narrowing. So you say, well, there's bone on bone. It's not bone on bone. There's a ligament, tight ligament there. That's all it is. And that means you can't straighten up your knee when you're sitting.
So who comes up with all these terms? ACL, bone on bone.
I don't know.
Spinal steno. In fact, here, hold on a second. I got something here. Spinal fusion, the most common back surgery. Okay, so if someone goes for final, this is not my opinion, Doc. This is JAMA. So when someone goes in, here's what they say. It restricts the motion between the bones and the spine. Fusion also limits the stretching of nerves. Why would you go for it?
You don't want to have a fusion at all. I think.
Why are you laughing over there?
The whole thing is ridiculous. Now, what happens when this is the actual case we had this week?
Right.
Fusion of C3-4 at the top of the neck, but the pain that this person was having was below. So when you fuse the cervical spine or a lower back, it takes movement off of that section.
Mm-hmm.
So where does the motion take place? Other places. So now you're overusing normal tissue, which has now become painful. So you have to be able to
I didn't know that.
No, me either.
you have to be able to chase that down and relieve it.
Well, again, when we go to, I want to talk about podiatrists for a second because I've known a lot of people that have gone to podiatrists, and I've given you a card because in my gym bag I have all your cards, and I explained it, and then I always
maybe you had a podiatrist in your
no
gym.
well the one I went to was a little guy.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't want to say he was a dwarf because he wasn't with Snow White. So anyhow, no one understands what I say. Okay. I think what's happened in this medical community is that people are scared because when a doctor says to them, you need surgery right away, most people go to a second doctor who looks at the x-rays and the MRI and says, yes, you do need surgery. Now, I think they get scared. They can't believe that there's someone that can prevent surgery. Except
Well, they got to try it out. I mean,
I would.
Why would they believe someone who says you need surgery, but they wouldn't believe someone who says you don't need surgery? What's the mindset there? I mean,
I think
think, people, think. That's what this program's all about. If you buy my book, you find out there's a lot of things that we don't talk about.
Tell them where
all
they
the
can get your
time.
book, Doc. Freddie, you know also, right? Where could they get it on PayPal?
They can get it on Amazon.
Amazon?
Or you can get it from me.
Or
Just
for
send me your
Pannozzo.tv
name and
or
address, and
something.
I'll send it out. But anyway, the things are in there, conceptual things that you have to know.
Right.
It isn't bone on bone; it's ligament tightness.
Mm-hmm.
See, and that's treatable. So if you name it properly, you can treat these things. And so, don't be afraid of another opinion. I mean, take a treatment or two. What difference does it make? You either get improve or you don't. If you improve, then that's it. If you don't, go get operated.
Look, you know, there's a lot of new listeners here. I know Freddie's been to Dr. Pannozzo quite a lot. I was lucky. I had 2 shots for a groin injury. Now, I'm willing to bet my last dollar because I was talking to what was it? An orthopedic surgeon in my gym. We're just talking because you know me. I talk to everybody. And he says, "What do you usually do for like a groin?" He said, "Do you have one?" I said, "No." I said, "What do you do?" He said, "Well, the best thing, that's what we do, is we send them for physical therapy to try to work it out." Or you ready for this one?
That is so dumb.
Well, hold on, wait. You ready for this?
Therapists don't know anything about
Let me
this.
tell you this one.
Yeah.
He says, try to get the Under Armour tight underwear.
Oh,
Under Armour has a thing which they say will help people who have groin injuries. It's a very, very.
you're not talking about the copper.
Oh no! Put copper in my underwear. You know what'll happen? Don't say anything. That'll be for a Tuesday show. Copper in underwear. And then I said, "Wow! And what happens if that doesn't work?" He said, "Well, then what we usually do is we give them a medication that will relieve the pain." I said, "Wow! I didn't know that." I said, "What else?" He said, "Well, you know, we don't want to do it, but then it's surgery."
He doesn't even know what he's talking about. You see, the guy's
Exactly.
He doesn't say.
But I played
He
dumb.
should have said to you, "There's 5 causes of groin pain.
Right.
Here's the symptoms of each one of them. Which one have you had?"
Right.
You know, then that's a logical thinking. Not say I'm going to send you to physical therapy.
I will bet you, Doc, lunch.
You know, if you follow a diagnosis that I would make, follow what the physical therapist did, they have no clue of how to treat that. None. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. And I don't care whether they like me or not because I don't work with them at all.
Well, I to me, now, what about someone who's a doctor of physical therapy?
No, forget about it.
Okay. I love him. How could you not like this guy? I mean, come on. And folks, he's just funny when he gives you the needle. That's not funny? Oh, you didn't get one. He fixed you without a needle. Freddie, I just want to say, Freddie just looks like an ex-mafia guy, and he kind of winced a little, didn't you?
I cry like a baby.
Not as much as I did.
But you know, it's funny
Yeah.
because it's over in
Oh, yeah, it's a second.
10 seconds. Yeah. But as long as the doc don't miss, you're good to go.
Well, anyway, what you're hearing is everything is true. We don't make anything up. The results we tell you about are true,
Yeah.
reproducible. We do it every day of the week, and not a problem.
We fixed a couple people from the Greek to Leah, and you know what still amazes me? I keep telling this story because it blows me away. She went to a podiatrist and wanted to boot her and shoot her with a needle for her ankle.
Right.
And I said, before you do this, what's the big deal? Come see him, okay?
Yeah, right.
And she raves about you because it wasn't her ankle.
No.
She was talking about that. I think it was either Friday or Wednesday about you. She said
really?
that she sends a lot of people, and she goes like this. I hope I'm getting credit for that, Dr. Pannozzo. Of course.
Well, it's nice to know that she had the experience and could talk from the heart.
Yeah.
I mean, what she's saying is true.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like one shot. I was there that day.
Well, yeah, it was 2, but it was one day.
Yeah, and she was fine. Didn't have to wear. And Leah happens to be a very athletic person. I mean, she does surfing, she does boating, she does.
What about the other guy with the elbow?
He was funny. Yeah,
Wow.
he talks about he was able to
Greek.
use.
The Greek with the
Greek.
elbow. Oh,
He was able-
yeah.
He was screaming.
Yeah. Well, I see it. I see it 4 minutes. Yes.
But the object of the game is, instead of Dr. Pannozzo being the exception to the rule, he should be the rule. Let the
should
surgery,
be the
let
first
the
guy.
surgery become the exception to the rule.
That's right. Exactly
And
right.
That's the philosophy, the mind change.
May your second opinion be your first.
Yeah, I know
Don't
you,
co-
you quoted that. You
I
like
had to go
that?
see what I said.
He made
likes
that up.
Yeah, I did. I made that up. It's right on your thing.
I think you read it somewhere.
No,
'Cause that
no.
brain can't be that quick.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm good, Freddie. People don't
I don't
realize
know.
I'm not just a pretty face.
He's
Fred.
good for about 10 minutes.
Oh, I was dead the first 10 minutes.
Where'd you come up with that saying? Make your second opinion your first.
I used that a long time ago with somebody, and I said, "Well," and he said, "What a great saying!" I said, "It's great. Why go through surgery?" And we know a guy that went through surgery,
Yeah.
2 knees. He said, "Where were you?" Now he's actually fixed the guy's knees where he rides his bike now,
Yeah.
and that's his passion to work out at the gym, play golf, and ride his bike.
Let's talk about that again. If you
Yeah.
get your knees operated, your pain is not going to be in the knee because you don't have it. It's going to be in the patella because they have to pull that thing out. They have to sew it back in. Scar tissue. Now, every time you get out of a chair, climb steps, or walk, it pulls on that scar tissue, and you think you're falling apart. You're not. It's just under the patella. There's scar tissue there. It's called a chondromalacia. We just fix it right up.
God, Doc, you're full of words today.
I'm good.
Euphemism, chondromalacia. I mean, he's good. This
Must
guy.
be Mountain Dew. I don't know.
You know, we ought to get Mountain Dew as a sponsor, of course. The Doc has to take that.
Well, it's really funny because this show is going to be on Dr. Pannozzo's waiting room television screen because we
Wow.
play all his shows,
Yeah.
right? So I just want to tell everybody who's in the waiting room who's never gone to meet Dr. Pannozzo and they're there for the first time,
Yeah.
and you're in for a ride because you're going to be absolutely amazed
This is
as to what's going on.
May 29th show.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing, like you just said. If you don't want to see Dr. Pannozzo and you're shopping at Walmart, walk into his office and just sit down and watch
Take
the
a
TV.
tour.
Yeah, take a tour.
Take a tour at Dr. Pannozzo's office.
Okay.
And talk to the people that are sitting there.
Yeah, and we can say, "Oh my God, this guy is real."
Yeah. We should do a tour.
You know,
A tour.
the other thing, people say, well, your waiting room is not filled. I say, you know why? Because we treat everybody and we cure them. They're not coming back. I mean, if you go to an office where you can't walk in there because the people are there, they're not getting any better.
That's
I
true.
mean,
So
it's repeat business. Don't go there.
I want to say, Doc, always a pleasure to have you here on Sunday.
thank
And
you,
Gio, it's
thank you.
always great to see you. Freddie, Carol, thank you so much. And everyone, remember this is a holiday to salute the boys that perished during war. I want to thank everyone for today. I want to thank our vets for what they're doing. God bless everybody. And you know what? Do not live in pain. You don't have to live in pain.
Right.
Now, there are people that are masochists and they love pain. If you're like that, don't come see Dr. Pannozzo.
Well, you know, if you want to have a pain just to know you're alive, that's
Yeah.
something else.
You come in, we'll hit you on the head, and then we'll fix it. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great weekend. Make your hot dogs and your hamburgers, and live a long life.
This has been the Dr. Pannozzo Sports and Medicine Hour with Dr. Anthony Pannozzo. If you spend 5 minutes with Dr. Pannozzo, you'll see he genuinely enjoys helping others. $800. Dr. Pannozzo will consult with you to determine the best solution to your pain needs. 561-381-5800 is the number to call, even if it's just for a second opinion. Join Dr. Pannozzo next week when he brings you more important information on the physics of weight-bearing and engineer concepts for the body.